Welcome. This is the third reading section for the cold equations. Remember, there was the video that explained the premise. There was reading section 1 and then reading section 2. Now this is reading section 3, the conclusion of the cold equations by Tom Godwin. So if you're not on section 3, you're in the wrong spot. Go find where you're supposed to be, and then you'll end up here. We are picking up the story where Marilyn is coming to grips with the mistake that she made, obviously unknowing how significant the consequences would be for stowing away on the EDS. And, she's running out of time, to put it bluntly. So we're picking up right here towards the bottom of this page where it says, she straightened up in her seat. Could I write a letter? I want to write to Mama and Daddy. And could I talk to Jerry over your radio? I'll try to get him, he said. Jerry Cross was away from camp, a voice told Barton, but he was expected back within an hour. When he comes in, get him to the transmitter as soon as you possibly can, Barton said. Then he turned the volume low and handed her a pad and pencil. I'd better write to Jerry, too, she said as she took them. He might not get back to camp in time. She began to write, a lonely child trying to say her last goodbye. She would tell them how much she loved them, and not to feel bad about it. Her brother was a pioneer, he would understand, but her father and mother would not. They would hate Barton, and she would appear in Barton's dreams to die again. Those are Barton's thoughts. Not Marilyn's thoughts. It's what he's imagining she is writing in the letters. At 18:45, she folded the second letter and addressed it. I hope Jerry comes back to camp soon, she said. I want to hear his voice. I'm a coward and I can't help it. No, he said. You're not a coward. You're afraid, but you're not a coward. Is there a difference? She asked. He nodded. A lot of difference. Jerry mentioned his work was dangerous, but I didn't understand. I always thought danger along the frontier was an exciting adventure, like in the 3D shows. Only it's not, is it? Because you can't go home after the show is over. No, he said, you can't. I wish Jerry would get back before it's too late, she said. I think he will, said Barton, but there may not be much time left to talk to him before he fades out. Then I'll go when Jerry passes beyond range, she paused and said. I've caused everyone I love to be hurt, haven't I? It wasn't your fault at all, he said. They'll understand. I keep remembering the little things they did that seem to be the most important to me now, she said. Like Jerry, I remember him most for what he did the night my kitten got run over in the street. He held me and he told me that Flossie was gone for just a while and would be back the next morning. And she was, just like he said. Much later, Mama told me Jerry got the pet shop owner out of bed to sell him a white kitten. It's always the little things we remember, Barton agreed. You've done things for Jerry and your father and mother that they will never forget. The signal buzzer interrupted them. Barton spun the volume control knob and asked, Jerry Cross? Yes, her brother answered tensely. What is it? Hello, Jerry. There was a faint quaver in her voice. I wanted to see you. Marilyn, what are you doing on that EDS? I wanted to see you, she said again. So I stowed away on this ship. I didn't know what it would mean. Then her own composure broke, and a tear splashed on his wrist. Jerry, I only wanted to see you. I didn't intend to hurt you. Don't cry, sis, her brother said gently. I didn't mean to sound the way I did. Then his voice changed, demanding. EDS, have you called the Stardust? I called the Stardust almost an hour ago. It can't turn back, said Barton. He tried to help me, Jerry. She had dried her tears. No one can help me. And I'm not going to cry anymore, and everything will be all right with you and Daddy and Mama, won't it? Sure it will. We'll make out fine, said Jerry. You're fading out, Jerry, she said. We must say goodbye, but maybe I'll see you again. I'll be nothing you can see, but you will know I'm there beside you. Think of me like that, Jerry. Always like that. Only a whisper came back. Always like that, Marilyn. Never any other way. Goodbye, Jerry. Faintly, his last words came. Goodbye, little sister. She sat motionless in the hush that followed. Then she turned toward the airlock, and he pulled down the black lever beside him. The inner door slid open to reveal a bare cell. She stepped into the airlock and turned to face him. I'm ready, she said. He pushed the lever up, and the door slid between them, enclosing her in darkness for her last moments of life. He jerked down the red lever. The ship wavered slightly as the air gushed from the lock. He shoved the red lever back and turned away with slow, heavy steps. He saw that the supply closet temperature gauge was back on zero. A Cole equation had been balanced, and he was alone on the ship. But it seemed, almost, that the girl still sat beside him, her words echoing in the void. I didn't do anything to die for. I didn't do anything. And there's the conclusion of the cold equations, that sometimes there is no other answer. And that is the cold equation in the cold equations.